Imagine the scene. You're driving peacefully down the road and suddenly you find yourself behind a brand new, fully equipped Ford F-150 Platinum, chrome gleaming in the sunlight, a leather interior whose scent you can practically smell from 3 car lengths away, and a monthly payment that would make your real estate agent sweat. What really intrigues me, and I need you to understand, this is the person behind the wheel. They probably earn less than you, maybe much less. So, what's going on? How are ordinary Americans able to afford these astronomical car payments that seem to defy basic math? More importantly, why should you care? Because, according to the latest Experian data from 2025, the average payment for a new car reached $749 per month in the second quarter of 2025, an increase of almost 2% compared to the previous year. And for used cars, still an exorbitant $529 per month. We're not talking about luxury vehicles. These are ordinary cars, ordinary trucks, bought by ordinary people. And the system that makes this possible, it's one of the most sophisticated wealth-destroying machines ever created. My name is John, and I've spent years analyzing financial behaviors, specifically why people make the financial decisions they make. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how millions of Americans are trapped in car payments they can't really afford and, more importantly, how you can avoid becoming another victim of this system. But before we dive deep into the mechanics of this car payment crisis, if you've ever wondered how your neighbor affords that $70,000 Ram 1500 while simultaneously complaining about the price of eggs, you're going to want to stick around for this entire video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications because we're about to expose one of the biggest financial scams being played on the American middle class. And if you find this information valuable, give this video a thumbs up. It helps us reach more people who need to hear this message. All right, let's get into it. Section 1. The shocking reality of car payments in 2025, the numbers that don't make sense. Let me start by painting you a picture of what we're actually dealing with in 2025. Because when I share these numbers with people, they usually think I'm exaggerating. The average car payment for a new vehicle is now $749 monthly. That's not a typo. $749 every single month. But wait, it gets worse. According to Edmunds research, nearly 20% of new car shoppers in Q2 2025 agreed to monthly payments exceeding $1,000. $1,000. And we're not just talking about Range Rovers and Mercedes-Benz here. Let me give you some specific examples that will blow your mind. The Ford F-150, America's best-selling vehicle for decades. The average monthly payment for an F-150 is now $913. That's right, almost $1,000 a month for a pickup truck. And according to sales data, Ford sold approximately 732,100 F-Series vehicles in 2024, making it the undisputed king of American roads, the Chevrolet Silverado second in the sales race. Starting prices range from $36,800 for a basic work truck to over $69,900 for the high-end ZR2 trim. With similar payment structures, you're looking at $800 to $1,100 plus monthly payments, depending on trim and options. The Ram 1500. Known for its luxurious interior and smooth ride, this truck commands premium pricing that translates into premium payments. These aren't exotic vehicles. These are the trucks you see at every construction site, every hardware store parking lot, every suburban driveway in America. The payment breakdown reality now. Here's where the math gets absolutely terrifying. According to Q2 2025 data, 17.57% of new car payments exceed $1,000, while only 10.04% are under $400. Think about that for a second. Nearly 1 in 5 people buying a new car is committing to over $1,000 monthly. Meanwhile, the median household income hasn't kept pace with these increases, not even close. The average amount financed for new vehicles sits at $41,983. That's more than what many people earn in an entire year, and they're financing it over 6, 7, even 8 years. But here's the million-dollar question. Are people actually making more money, or have we just normalized financial insanity? The answer? It's the latter. And the system that makes this possible is far more sinister than you might imagine. Section 2. The system, how they make the impossible seem possible extended loan terms, the gateway drug. Remember when your parents or grandparents told you about buying a car with a 3-year loan? Maybe 4 years if they really stretched it? Those days are dead, buried, gone forever. The average loan term for new cars now exceeds 72 months. That's a full 6 years. And it's getting longer. More than 22% of borrowers opted for 84-month loans, 7 years, in Q2 2025, representing a new high. Some lenders are even offering 96-month terms. That's 8 years. 8 years to pay off a depreciating asset that will likely need major repairs before you've made your final payment. The appeal is obvious. If you spread that $55,000 truck payment over 8 years instead of 4, the monthly number drops dramatically. Suddenly, that truck requiring a $1,400 monthly payment over 4 years becomes manageable at $850 over 8 years. But here's what the dealership doesn't explain while you're signing those papers. The true cost calculation. $850 divided by month times 96 months equals $81,600 total paid. Compare that to $1,400 divided by month times 48 months equals $67,200 total paid. Difference, $14,400 extra just for the privilege of lower monthly payments. That's $14,400 evaporating from your wealth. Money you'll never get back. Money that could have been invested, saved, or used to build actual wealth. And here's the nightmare scenario. New cars typically lose about 55% of their value within the first 5 years. So by year 5 or 6 of that 8-year loan, you'll owe significantly more than the vehicle is worth. You're trapped in what's called negative equity, unable to sell or trade the vehicle without writing a massive check to cover the difference. The 0% illusion. Walk into any dealership right now and you'll see massive banners advertising 0% APR financing. It sounds like free money, right? A gift from the automotive gods? Wrong. Here's the dirty little secret about 0% financing that dealers desperately don't want you to understand. There is no such thing as free money. The cost of that financing is built directly into the vehicle's price. You're paying for it, you're just paying for it up front in the purchase price rather than in interest charges. Here's how the game works. Dealers will offer you 2 paths. Pay full MSRP and get 0% financing. Get a significant cash discount, but pay market rate interest. Currently averaging 6.73% for new cars and 11.87% for used cars in Q1 2025. You don't get both, ever. And here's the kicker. Those 0% offers typically come with strict qualification requirements. Borrowers with the highest credit scores, 781 to 850, are the ones who qualify, the same people who could often afford to pay cash anyway. For everyone else with average or below average credit, you're looking at rates that can exceed 15% for new cars and over 21% for used cars if you fall into the deep subprime category. The trade-in trap, the cycle of perpetual debt. Now we get to one of the most insidious parts of the system, the trade-in game. Here's how it typically unfolds. Year 0, someone buys a new truck with a 7-year loan. Monthly payment, $800. They're excited. It's shiny. It smells new. Year 3, the excitement has worn off. They want something newer, bigger, better. But there's a problem. They still owe $35,000 on a truck that's now worth $28,000. They're $7,000 underwater. The dealer's solution: no problem. We'll roll that negative equity into your new loan. So now they're taking out a loan for the new truck's price, plus the $7,000. They're still underwater on the old truck. Their loan balance has increased, even though they're upgrading. Year 6, rinse and repeat. Except now they're $10,000 or $15,000 underwater. The hole keeps getting deeper. This creates what I call the automotive hamster wheel, people constantly paying for vehicles they no longer own, while simultaneously taking on debt for new vehicles they can't afford. And the dealers, they absolutely love this system. Why? Because it creates customers for life. Once you're trapped in the negative equity cycle, you're essentially a captive audience. You can't afford to break free because doing so would require writing a check for thousands of dollars just to get out from under your current loan. Section 3. The psychological warfare. How marketing has hijacked your identity. Here's where things get really disturbing. The automotive industry has spent billions, literally billions of dollars, researching exactly how to trigger psychological responses that override your rational decision-making. They don't sell transportation anymore. They sell identity, status, masculinity, success, freedom. That commercial showing a rugged Ford F-150 Raptor climbing mountains and fording rivers, it's not selling you a truck. It's selling you the fantasy that you're the kind of adventurous, capable person who conquers mountains, even though the closest you'll get to off-roading is driving through a Costco parking lot on a Saturday afternoon. The message is subtle but powerful. Your vehicle defines who you are. And if you're not driving something impressive, what does that say about you? This emotional manipulation is precisely why people who would never dream of spending $1,200 a month on anything else somehow convince themselves it's reasonable for a car payment. Think about it. $1,200 month on coffee? You'd be in rehab. $1,200 month on clothes? Serious shopping addiction. $1,200 month on a truck? Well, you need reliable transportation. The normalization didn't happen by accident. It's the result of decades of sophisticated marketing designed to separate you from your wealth while making you feel good about it. Section 4. The sacrifice. How people actually afford these payments, restructuring life around a car payment. Now, let's talk about the harsh reality of how people actually make these astronomical payments work in their monthly budgets. Because, spoiler alert, they're not actually affording them in any meaningful financial sense. What they're doing is restructuring their entire financial lives around their car payment. I've seen people move to smaller, cheaper apartments specifically to free up money for their truck payment, stay with roommates well into their 30 seconds because their F-150 payment takes priority over independent living, eat ramen noodles for lunch every day while driving a $65,000 vehicle to work, skip family vacations for years to support a payment that consumes 35% of their take-home income. Some are taking on second jobs, driving for Uber or delivering food on weekends, using their expensive truck to generate the income needed to pay for that same expensive truck. It's automotive indentured servitude. The vehicle becomes simultaneously your master and your means of survival. Others are dipping into retirement accounts, taking 401 loans to make down payments or cover unexpected repairs. They're literally robbing their future selves to fund their current transportation fantasy. And the most concerning trend? People are putting insurance, maintenance, repairs, and even fuel costs on high-interest credit cards to free up cash flow for their monthly car payment. They're using 822% APR debt to subsidize their transportation costs. The hidden costs nobody calculates? Here's where most people completely delude themselves about affordability. They focus obsessively on that monthly payment number while completely ignoring the first, massive hidden costs that make vehicle ownership financially catastrophic. Let me break down the true cost of owning that $55,000 truck over 7 years. Monthly payment, $800. 7 years at 6% interest. Total paid over loan, $67,200. Insurance. The average cost of full coverage is about $223 per month. 7 years times $223 divided by month equals $18,732. Fuel costs. A full-size truck averaging 17 mpg real world, driving 15,000 miles divided by year, at $3.50 divided by gallon 7 years equals $30,625 maintenance and repairs. Conservative estimate regular maintenance, oil changes, tires, brakes, etc. equals $8,000. Major repairs after warranty expires equals $7,000. Total $15,000. Grand total, $131,557, and at the end of those 7 years, that truck is worth maybe $18,000 if you're lucky. You've paid $131,557 for the privilege of driving what is now an $18,000 truck. That's not transportation financing. That's wealth destruction with heated seats and a backup camera. The opportunity cost, nobody discusses. Here's the most depressing part of this equation, and this is what haunts me when I see people making these financial decisions. If you took that $800 monthly payment and invested it in a simple S&P 500 index fund, earning a conservative 8% annual return, after 7 years, you'd have approximately $84,000. Read that again, $84,000. Not only would you have avoided the financial burden of the truck, you would have actually built wealth instead of destroying it. That's the opportunity cost. That's what you're really sacrificing when you sign that loan document. And if you kept that investment going for another 20 years while driving reliable, paid-off vehicles, you'd have over $450,000. That's nearly $500,000 in wealth, real, investable wealth that generates passive income, provides financial security, and creates generational wealth. Or you can have a truck that's worth $18,000 in 7 years. Your choice. Section 5. The depreciation disaster. Understanding how your investment evaporates. Let's talk about something that car buyers desperately try to avoid thinking about: depreciation. New cars lose approximately 20% of their value in the first year alone. Over 5 years, they shed about 55% of their original purchase price. Here's what that looks like in real dollars for a $55,000 truck. End of year 1, worth $44,000, lost $11,000. End of year 2, worth $38,500, lost another $5,500. End of year 3, worth $33,000, lost another $5,500. End of year 4, worth $27,500, lost another $5,500. End of year 5, worth $24,750, lost another $2,750. Total value lost in 5 years, $30,250. That's over $30,000. That's simply evaporated. And if you financed it over 7 or 8 years, you're still making payments years after the vehicle has lost most of its value. The vehicles that hold value best? Typically Toyota models like the Corolla Cross, losing only 2.63% after 3 years, the 4Runner, Tacoma, and certain Subaru models. But even these outliers still lose significant value over time. Meanwhile, luxury vehicles and electric vehicles depreciate the fastest, with EVs losing nearly 59% of their value after 5 years. The multiple vehicle nightmare. But here's where the story gets even more insane. Many people aren't just doing this for one vehicle. They're managing 2 or 3 car payments simultaneously. According to current trends, the average American household now owns more vehicles than licensed drivers, which is both mathematically impressive and financially terrifying. I've seen families with dad's work truck, $900 a month, mom's SUV for the kids, $750 a month, a third vehicle for the teenager or weekend adventures, $500 a month. That's $2,150 per month in car payments alone, more than most people pay for their mortgage. And that doesn't include the multiplied insurance costs, maintenance schedules, and fuel expenses. These families have essentially created their own personal auto financing companies, except instead of making money, they're hemorrhaging it every month while managing multiple depreciation schedules and loan terms. The psychological effect is fascinating. They become experts at juggling due dates and minimum payments, but they lose sight of the bigger picture entirely. They'll celebrate finally paying off one vehicle while simultaneously taking on 2 new loans. Success is measured by their ability to keep all the plates spinning rather than questioning whether they need to be spinning plates at all. Section 6. Real-world examples. The trucks Americans are actually buying: the Ford F-150, America's favorite money pit. The Ford F-Series was the best-selling light truck in America in 2024, with approximately 732,100 units sold. It's been America's best-selling vehicle for over 40 years. The F-150 lineup ranges from $33,385 for a basic XL trim to over $83,010 for the top-tier limited model, with the off-road Raptor starting at $76,775. But here's what people actually buy. They rarely buy the base model. They want the Lariat, King Ranch, or Platinum trims, loaded with technology, luxury features, and premium materials. These models easily push into the $65,000, $75,000 range. At $70,000 financed over 72 months at 7% interest, you're looking at approximately $1,145 per month. That's before insurance, fuel, and maintenance. The Chevrolet Silverado, the value alternative that isn't the Silverado, $1,500 starts at $36,800 for the work truck. But popular trims like the LTZ start at $57,200, and the High Country begins at $62,700. The same financial dynamics apply. People aren't buying the stripped-down work truck. They're buying the LTZ or High Country with the premium packages, upgraded sound systems, and advanced towing technology. A fully loaded High Country can easily exceed $70,000, putting you right back in that $1,000 plus monthly payment territory. The Ram 1500, luxury meets practicality. In a price, the Ram 1500 is known for its luxurious interior with the largest touchscreen in the segment at 14.5 inches. It offers premium materials and a smooth ride that makes it feel more like a luxury sedan than a work truck. But that luxury comes at a cost. Premium trims easily reach $65,000, $70,000, with similar financing nightmares attached. The irony? Many buyers complain about the Ram's laggy touchscreen interface that sometimes doesn't respond to inputs, even though they're paying luxury prices for the technology. Section 7. The automotive Stockholm Syndrome. When you fall in love with your financial captor, here's the psychological trap that makes this cycle nearly impossible to break. Once someone commits to these extreme car payments, they develop what I call automotive Stockholm Syndrome. They become emotionally attached to their financial captor. The truck isn't just transportation anymore. It's a reflection of their identity, their hard work, their perceived success. The idea of driving something cheaper, more practical, or heaven forbid paid off feels like admitting failure or accepting a lower social status. This emotional attachment makes rational financial analysis essentially impossible. When you suggest they could save $600, $800 monthly by driving a reliable used vehicle, they don't hear a practical financial strategy. They hear an attack on their self-worth and their right to enjoy the fruits of their labor. They'll defend that truck payment with the passion usually reserved for defending family members, even though that truck payment might literally be preventing them from providing for their family's future. The dealer's playbook: overcoming every objection. The automotive sales process has been refined over decades to overcome every rational objection a buyer might have. Objection: the payment is too high. Response: let's extend the term. We can get you to $850 instead of $1,200. Objection: I'm worried about reliability. Response: here's an extended warranty you can finance into the loan. Objection: but won't it depreciate? Response: don't worry about that. You'll probably want to trade it in for something even better in a few years anyway. Notice how none of these responses actually address the fundamental financial problem. They just rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic while the ship keeps sinking. Conclusion: the truth about car payments. So, here we are. The mystery of how people are affording these insane car payments isn't really a mystery at all. They're not affording them in any meaningful sense of the word. They're extending loans to absurd lengths. They're rolling negative equity into new loans. They're sacrificing retirement savings, emergency funds, and financial security. They're restructuring their entire lives around a depreciating asset that will be worthless long before they finish paying for it. It's a carefully orchestrated system designed to separate Americans from their wealth while making them feel successful about it. Extended loan terms, emotional manipulation, 0% illusions, and trade-in traps all work together to create the perfect financial storm. And the result? The average amount financed has reached a record high of $42,388 in Q2 2025, with millions of Americans trapped in payments they can barely afford for vehicles that are destroying their financial futures. But here's the good news: you don't have to play this game. You can choose to drive a reliable, paid-off vehicle while investing that $800 monthly payment into actual wealth building. You can choose to buy a quality used vehicle that's already taken the depreciation hit. You can choose financial freedom over automotive status symbols. The next time you see someone driving a vehicle that costs more than a small house, remember, they're probably eating cereal for dinner to afford it. And maybe, just maybe, that reliable used car in your driveway isn't looking so bad after all. Now I want to hear from you. Have you experienced the car payment trap? Maybe you're currently driving one of these trucks we discussed, an F-150, Silverado, or Ram 1500. What's your real-world experience been like? Are your payments higher than you expected? Have you encountered unexpected costs? Or maybe you've successfully avoided this trap and have advice to share. Drop your story in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear before they make a life-changing financial mistake. This community thrives when we share real experiences and learn from each other. And if you found this video valuable, if it opened your eyes to the car payment trap or confirmed suspicions you already had, please hit that like button right now. It tells YouTube to show this video to more people who need this information. Most importantly, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. We're going to continue exposing these financial traps that the mainstream financial industry doesn't want you to understand. From mortgages to student loans to credit cards, we're breaking down exactly how these systems work and how you can protect yourself. Share this video with someone who's thinking about buying a new truck. You might literally save them tens of thousands of dollars and years of financial stress. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this community. And remember, true wealth isn't about what you drive, it's about what you own and the financial freedom you create. I'll see you in the next video.